Hey guys, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to the MirandaMiner global community. A lot of people waiting here. Thank you for your time. Good morning if you are in the Philippines. Good morning actually. It's 12 in the morning in the Philippines. Good afternoon there in the States. To my friends in Maryland, to Judex and everyone, hello there, hello and everyone else in the Philippines. Of course, the folks in Europe, good afternoon. The folks in Dubai, good. I think it's still nighttime there. It's 7 p.m. No, guys, I'm gonna be talking in English. I would not be talking in Tagalog because we do have foreign guests for today. I hope you guys understand that. But before we do, kind of go with our regular gig, I'd like to kind of play Who is Miranda Miner, and let's just enjoy this 3 minutes video. All right, just sit back and relax, and let's see Global Miranda Minor Group. You need to take time to find your bread and butter trade. Ang focus is very important. Dahan-dahanin mo, huwag ka mafufomo. Di ba? I always tell you to trust the system. Now, I want you to wait for a confirmation candle. Wait for this line to be broken. Do never, ever do shortcuts in trading.
Kaya ang galing lang talaga pag natutunan mo yung tinuturo ni boss bago na-i-apply mo. Bago yung patient lang, yung patient tsaka yung discipline.
Si Coach kasi, he's not just a content creator. Talagang mentor siya. Pinaglalaanan niya ng oras lahat ng videos niya. Not for him, not to get subscribers, pero para matuto tayo, para maging profitable tayo kagaya niya. Sobrang amazing lang kasi konti lang yung taong gano'n na hindi madamot, na hindi niya sasalilinin kung paano siya mag-earn ng pera. Si Coach kasi mas gusto niya pang i-share yung blessings niya.
Nag-decide ako i-PM po kayo, nag-enroll po ako sa inyo sa beginner class. Ginawa ko po talaga everyday, 3 to 4 videos ko sa YouTube ang pinapanood ko. Tapos ninonote ko pa talaga lahat.
Magpahinga ka. Hindi tatakbo yung market, hindi mauubos yung trade setup na yan. Find that bread and butter setup. Vulnerability in trading is our most accurate measurement of trading quotient. You have yet to see your success. You have yet to see your millions. Andiyan dyan na. Are you going to give up today? Or are you going to use the word not yet? All right, guys. That's all. You know, every time I hear that video, it just gives me goosebumps. No, so a lot of folks behind that video. So thank you guys for your support, for everything. No, so guys, before we kind of introduce our guests for today, let me just kind of give you a quick background. Why did I kind of choose this awesome group? No, we're very blessed actually for the most part to kind of have this awesome company to be our guests. And as I was mentioning to everyone, not all Filipinos have an opportunity to interview such an awesome and huge company. No, a little bit of a background with them, and I'm sure I hope I could do justice in introducing these folks. Obviously, you guys have heard about Santiment. They're the most comprehensive metrics on-chain and social metrics company. You know, one of the many things why I would like us to learn about Santiment and Crowd Santiment is, as you guys would have recalled, I used to be a vice president of operations, and one of the many things that we're studying from an engagement perspective is sentiment. No, we're using a lot of analytical tools, and for me, I've been looking for an analytical tool that I could use in teaching cryptocurrency. You know, the price behavior, etc. And it doesn't look like there is today up until I found Santiment. No, obviously they're the market leader today in terms of understanding on-chain and social matrices. And guys, why is it important? No, we keep on talking about technical analysis, MACD, RSI, Fibonacci 618. Why is it important that we learn about these metrics? Of course, I will give that question to them in a few. But for me, I think no, there are a lot of perfect use cases. You know, you guys have heard about Shiba Inu and a lot of those meme coins that all of a sudden, no fundamentals for the most part, but they just keep on flying, right? So I think it's important we kind of understand, is there any important things that we don't know what we don't know, yeah? So why don't we kind of go and ensure that we kind of put more education behind that. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you guys. Of course, we will not invite people who are not as good looking as as myself. I'm sure you guys would agree with that, no? So it is my pleasure to introduce to the Filipino community. And by the way, Brian and Dino, we have a lot of folks from the U.S., from the U.K., everywhere in the world. As long as there's a Filipino, you could find you could find them here. Dino is the one of the market analysts, content leader in Santiment, and joining him today is Brian, who's a director of marketing. And guys, if you are a okay, someone said welcome Santiment from Denmark. Interesting, from the chat room. All right, so before I forget this, if you are a MirandaMiner member, okay, I'm just very appreciative because the generosity of this gentleman in front of me here. They're giving us 25% off. Okay, if you use maybe we'll give them within the day to program this at the background. But if you use my code MirandaMiner in Santiment, you can take advantage of a 25% discount. How about that? Type number one, guys. Let's all appreciate Santiment for that very generous offer. Only for the MirandaMiner community. Use my code MirandaMiner for us, and guys, I will take that. Dino and Brian, I will I will take that offer myself. Expect me to kind of create an account. I have an account already at this point, but I'll take advantage of that in a few. So, anyways, people are asking me face reveal. No, I cannot. The gentleman here knows that. It's gonna be in December. So, all right, why don't we all do this? Brian, I'll pass it on to you. Up to you if you want to introduce yourself, but the floor is yours, Brian.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for the warm intro, and hello to all the amazing MirandaMiner community. We've heard many great things about you. Obviously, checked out your channel a bit prior to this call, and I think you guys are doing excellent things. So we're honored to be here, and really looking forward to showing you guys a little bit about the platform, why it's effective and useful. As many people often wonder about us, yes, we are the largest on-chain and social crypto platform out there. We have data for over 2,000 assets, hundreds and hundreds of different indicators to really provide legitimate and proven alpha based on historic evidence over time. And we'll be going over quite a bit. So I'm really looking forward to showing you guys what we have to offer. And Dino, if you want to jump in and say a few words before we begin, feel free.
Sure. Just wanted to say hi to everybody in chat. Like already mentioned, my name is Dino. I'm one of the market analysts at Santiment. Essentially, over the last 5 years, the basic tenet or thesis of Santiment is that crypto community, or generally sort of the crypto market, has such a vast source of untapped information that even today in 2021 are rarely used or rarely used effectively to understand the crypto market and add context to what's going on with the both market movement and general storylines in the crypto sphere and crypto community. So what we've done over the last 5 years is we focused on providing alternative data sources on over 2,000 different cryptocurrencies. And by alternative data sources, I mean we've built our entire platform around three sources of data. These are on-chain analytics, social analytics, and development activity analytics, all with the idea of providing more context about daily market movement and general macro and micro trends for traders, investors, journalists, analysts, anyone that really wants to understand what the heck is going on with the crypto sphere on a daily basis. So currently on the website that I think Brian is showing right now, we've got over 100 different metrics, some of them completely unique to our platform. We obviously won't be talking about all of them, but we'll be touching upon a couple of them that we think are pretty interesting to sort of give you a sense of where we are in the cycle and what we might be looking forward to, at least from a fundamental perspective for Bitcoin and maybe a few other coins if we got time. So yeah, happy to be here.
Great, Dino. Yeah, thank you. And just as a quick reminder to everyone here, just as we tell everyone in our own community, our goal when we do show off our metrics is to give you guys an idea of where we stand, of course, in the markets based on historical evidence of what is considered to be a bullish or bearish divergence. But we want to ensure that you guys are not mistaking that for investment advice. That's not what we're about. We really pride ourselves on giving insights on where we stand in the markets without really indicating what you should do with your money. All we can do is really show you where things are looking based on prior historical evidence that has typically led to either a correction or a pump or anything in between. So what we're going to do is show you, just like we are here with token circulation, where I'll be starting off, what these different metrics mean and how you can use them effectively to really improve your trading if you're tracking how they're fluctuating over time. And obviously, some are going to be a little more macro, some are more short term. And in the case of token circulation, as I segue into it now, what we typically look for is a rising amount of utility. Circulation, by our definition, is the amount of unique tokens moving from one in between a network on any given day. In this case, we're looking at just the 1 day chart with a 7-day trend line. And when you see prices rise, you typically want to see token circulation rise with it as a justification that utility is picking up, either causing the price to rise or as a result of the price rising and people becoming more interested in perhaps FOMOing into an asset. And of course, we're looking at Bitcoin now, but things are going to look a little more extreme as you go down the market cap rankings. And if you look at something like the 200th coin in crypto versus the number one, you'll see very obvious, huge fluctuations in circulation as prices rise, as a very notable indicator as to why that token is rising in price and more people are trading and using it. So in this case, what we see with Bitcoin over the past 6 months, which is what this chart is showing, I'll full screen it here so you have a better look. We see that things really topped out about 2 weeks or so before we hit that then all-time high of around 65,000 or so. Before things sort of tapered off, and we had some days where we were getting over 200,000 up, in this case 250,000 Bitcoin moving in one given day, which is fantastic to see. You'll notice these dips typically align with weekends. On weekends, it is a natural and expected outcome to see less tokens circulated no matter what asset you're looking at. But notice how there has been a bit of a drop-off. Ignore these days and our current day, which we're looking at now. But for the most part, we're seeing a bit of a drop-off if you just look at like kind of the natural trend over the past, give or take 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks now. Things are declining a little bit. It's nothing like what we saw in August or September, but it's a bit of a concern that we aren't seeing just this, steady, as I accidentally zoom in here, but we're not seeing the same steady increase in circulation like we were seeing between August and early October, which is typically a great sign that we're seeing a bullish divergence. So more than anything else right now, this is kind of what we would look at as a neutral divergence, where it's not really dipping enough for us to be concerned, but we do want to see that circulation is staying up in the 160,000 plus range or so. And circulation, we found, is just a very fantastic way to see the overall utility of an asset.
So normally when we say that the price is going upwards, we should expect for the most part that the circulation should also correlate to the trend, right? So in this case, we're seeing
Correct.
a divergence, meaning the price is creating a higher high, but your circulation is creating a downward movement. So what does that mean from an analytics perspective?
Yeah, it means that there's a little bit of indecisiveness among traders right now. And with indecisiveness creates stagnancy. And stagnancy is something you want to typically avoid with an asset. Like I said, it isn't a serious dip, and it's pretty short term to really make serious assumptions about where the price is going to head next. But if you were to see, look at the trend line here. This is just a 7-day trend line, of course, but just from like May 2019, let me not zoom in this time. May 2019, when we saw the trend line way up there at over 300,000. And then by October 2019, we were looking at days where it was at like 118,000. This would be an indication that, the top that occurred just about a month after it peaked here, this probably wasn't going to be a very exciting continued growth at the time, because of the fact that circulation was already starting to dip down. And you can see this long, drawn out dip for almost a year and a half or so before prices started to rise. Of course, we then had Black Thursday, but just before we started to even out and jump up again, circulation was not looking great at that time. And then all of a sudden, look at what happened right after Black Thursday. This was really the big indication that you can get into Bitcoin pretty safely, because tokens were starting to really fluctuate. There was so much polarization based around what was happening with the pandemic at the time. And sure enough, if you entered around mid-March when the price dropped off a cliff and the market cap shed about 50% of its size at that time, you would have been a very, very big gainer. And circulation was a primary reason for that.
So circulation in layman's, or in my perspective, does that also mean active addresses, or those are two different things?
So they are two different things, but you brought up the next chart I wanted to show, because active address is essentially like the brother of circulation in this respect, that instead of looking at just the raw amount of tokens being moved on a network, you're instead looking at the raw amount of addresses that are moving on a network at any given day. And with that, you can find not just, whether a specific amount of tokens are moving, but also how many addresses are getting involved. So the two lend to each other very well. And you can see quite clearly, probably even more so than on the circulation side, there's a very obvious trend. When prices rise, addresses are rising quite in tandem with it. And on the other end of the spectrum, you can see when addresses drop off, the price will soon follow in typical fashion. So between the two, I would call circulation a bit more of a macro indicator.
Sure.
And active addresses is more of a weekly indicator, where if you see things starting to rise, but prices aren't, that would be a good indication that prices may soon follow. And that's a nice bullish divergence showing, even if it's just for like a 3 to 5 day period where you're seeing, something like this, for example, where prices are kind of staying flat, but you see the addresses notably jumping up. Those are the kind of divergences we really like to look for and share with our own community.
So these two are both network level metrics, right? It's nothing. Currently, we're just looking at the vast majority of Bitcoin users on a daily basis and what they're doing, and just how strong network-wide demand is for BTC, right? Obviously, there's a lot of more granular metrics that we can get into, but I think these two are a very good introduction to, first of all, how on-chain data works, and second of all, what is the wholesale interest or level of interest towards a coin in particular. So, I mean, as you can see, pretty much between the start of 2021, so January 1st, all the way up to the beginning of the correction in May, the amount of addresses that have on a daily basis interacted with Bitcoin, and by interacted, I just mean sent or received the BTC, right? The amount of addresses that have interacted with Bitcoin on a daily basis have dropped below 1 million for, I think, a total of 6 days. So in the first 5 months of 2021, there have only been 6 days where the amount of addresses interacting with BTC was less than 1 million. And then as we dropped, as the May correction started, those numbers plummeted. So we experienced about a 30% decline in the total amount of daily active addresses, basically suggesting that, not only did we see massive capitulation, which is maybe not shown on this chart as well as on some other charts that we can show, there was a massive sort of sell-off wave, weekend capitulation, but overall there was a movement to dormancy and lethargic sort of activity on the network, right? A lot of people and a lot of addresses decided to stay away from the market for a little while, at least until they figure out what the heck is going on. So generally speaking, with sustained price rallies in the past, what we typically see, not just for Bitcoin, but for a lot of alts as well, low, mid-cap alts, it doesn't really matter. As a rule of thumb, sustained price rallies often go hand in hand with sustained uptick in network activity. A lot of on-chain analysts like to use daily active addresses as sort of an on-chain proxy for the amount of demand in the token, right? So what I think is good, and on a weekly basis, I write these weekly reports about Bitcoin. I'm writing one today that's going to sort of give an update, and you can check it out on our insights page. That's going to sort of provide some more information about where we think Bitcoin is at the moment. What is obviously good about Bitcoin's address activity is the momentum that it's continuing to sort of accumulate over the past 2 or 3 months. So just the other week, as Bitcoin hit a new all-time high, we have hit also a 6-month high in daily active addresses. So for the first time since the May correction, there were 1.19 or 1,190,000 daily active addresses interacting with BTC. So that number has sort of slumped over the last couple of days. That is completely normal. Every weekend, there's a massive drop in Bitcoin's daily active addresses. It's been since time immemorial. Just it's natural. Less people interact with crypto over the weekend, right? People have things to do. So generally, I think what's going to be very interesting this week and the next week for me is what are these network level metrics going to look like, especially if Bitcoin starts sort of consolidating around these levels, or if it experiences another leg down. The question that I am very sort of interested in finding out is, what is going to be the network level response? Are we going to see another sort of decline and another sort of capitulation in terms of address activity and general value transfer on the network, which could be sort of a bearish signal? Or are we going to see this momentum keep up? Because I think, and generally, relative to the past couple of rallies, that has been proven to be the case. I think that sustained rally to maybe 70K and above 70K is going to need to be supported by strong network level activity. We're seeing it so far, but there are signs that we might be entering a sort of consolidation in terms of network level activity. So next couple of weeks, I think, are going to be pretty key to figuring out where and how high Bitcoin can go.
So we should be, to your point, right? So to your point, if we're expecting a continuous upward trend of this coin, it should be supported by network activity. Obviously the wallet addresses, the circulation should go higher as well. One of the things that we don't know on a regular technical analysis chart, because obviously we just use RSI as our momentum indicator to kind of say, you know what, there's obviously a momentum to kind of support the price action. But in this case, you're saying that, and based on the chart I've seen earlier, it's kind of comparing the previous bull during the month of March and April, where there's obviously an almost similar trajectory upward, higher high, bull, and the market activity is also high. This bull looks like there's lesser network activity for the most part, which kind of, to your point, kind of makes us a bit more cringy in assuming it's going to be an automatic bull, yeah?
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a cautious atmosphere. Really, there's only been a couple of days, even throughout this latest all-time high breach, there's only been a couple of days where Bitcoin was able to jump above 1 million daily active addresses. So compared to the first sort of, the first let's say 2 quarters of 2021, we're still lagging behind in terms of network level activity. Now, generally speaking, however, I like to see the momentum or the trend moving in the positive direction. And this is what we're still seeing, right? Bitcoin's daily active addresses are, in general, sort of network level activity is moving in the right direction.
Right.
Now we're sort of at a crossroads, at a very strong threshold where we're sort of inching back up to the same levels of daily activity where we were back in sort of April and May. And so this is going to be a very big test for BTC. Are we going to see the continuous inflow of new money and new interest in the address, both from a buy and sell perspective? It doesn't matter. I think what matters more is whether there's genuine value creation and value redistribution on the network on a daily basis. So if we see signs of that, I think it's a sort of a good sign for a potential continuation of this rally. If we see network level metrics start to decline, it could be an indicator that some short-term downward volatility might happen. Obviously, there are no silver bullets, but I think it's from a network level perspective, this is how I would read into these metrics.
So the way you kind of look at it, Dino, does that mean that folks are removing their BTC out of the circulation? That's why it's kind of, taming down a bit?
Yeah. So essentially, I think Brian has showed a model that we created.
Okay.
There's a metric that we call, is other people call it as well, NVT ratio, right? It's called network value to transaction value ratio. So this is a metric that is for people that are sort of coming from a traditional stock market atmosphere. They will sort of know it as the PE ratio, or price to earnings ratio. Now, the idea behind this metric is to try to figure out whether Bitcoin or any asset, it can apply. We have this chart for any asset on on our website. Whether a coin's current valuation is too high or too low relative to the amount of value it is creating and generating on a daily basis. So the way that the NVT ratio is calculated is you take the market capitalization of a coin, and then which is basically coin supply times the current price of the coin, and then you divide it by the total amount of unique tokens moving on the blockchain on a daily basis, right? So this is sort of your surrogate for the earnings per share, because Bitcoin obviously doesn't have a balance sheet, so you can't really copy paste the traditional price to earnings ratio. You need to put something else in your equation. So what on-chain analysts do is they try to make up that loss by adding the total amount of unique tokens as a proxy for earnings per share.
Okay.
So the more value that is being transmitted on the blockchain on a daily basis, the better or the stronger the network looks. So the idea behind the NVT ratio then is if the market capitalization is too high relative to the amount of unique tokens moving on the blockchain, relative to the quote unquote value being created on the blockchain daily, then that means that the coin might be overvalued. And if the market capitalization is too low relative to the network level activity, then that could point to a fundamentally undervalued asset, at least in the short term. So this is what one of the models that we've created with this idea, where red bars point to a period of time where market capitalization is too high relative to the amount of value being generated on the network on a daily basis. And then green bars are the opposite. They show periods where there's a high spike in network activity, in daily token utility, compared to the total market cap of the coin. And so, Brian, you can maybe give us a little bit of context of what this last bar is showing for Bitcoin right now, because it seems like it's moving back into a bit of a reddish scenario.
Absolutely, yeah. So as I mentioned, NVT and circulation in general is more of a macro indicator than something you'd want to look at on a daily basis. There's going to be a lot of noise, particularly on weekends, of course. And with that being said, we finished October with a semi-bullish divergence, and not surprisingly, the price absolutely took off after we saw this long stretch of bearish signal, which caused, if you look at just the white line, which is the average price throughout each month, it caused a ton of volatility to occur. Yes, there were a few months where the price was able to rise despite circulation not being very good against market cap, but all things considered, we needed to see a breakout in circulation like we saw in October in order to really recover back to prices that we were seeing back in March and April when the prices first started to correct. That being said, where we are now, halfway through November, this model is generating a semi-bearish signal which is reflective of this circulation chart that we showed here at the beginning of the call, where we're seeing just this small slide in circulation that's showing to be a bit of a concern. It's not a major concern. We're not seeing a red signal that would indicate we're about to see another drop like this, but all things considered, we want to be just a bit higher in the circulation category to at least get like a yellow neutral bar to feel safe with Bitcoin getting the amount of circulation that justifies where its market cap should be.
Okay. So Brian and Dino, so kind of connect the dots here, right? So meaning high NVT or net NVT does not necessarily mean good, because it could mean that the token is overvalued, right?
Right. The larger the bar is, that means there's a wider gap between market cap and circulation. You want that gap to be smaller, indicating a lower bar, which is why these low bars here are green and the high bars are red. Okay. And you'll notice over time the bars in general get higher to account for like the greater supply of Bitcoin and other factors that allow Bitcoin to grow despite the gap getting naturally larger over time. That's why we have these trend lines here to help offset that.
Okay. I just have a question here from someone in Singapore. So she said, on the charts earlier, is that real time? Or do you kind of need to wait 24 hours for it to refresh? Is it real time?
So yeah, they're typically, the two that we've shown so far are 24-hour cycle charts. Okay. However, on the active address side, we do have a 1-hour version if you want to look more granular than we've looked at so far. So instead of daily active addresses here, we're now looking at 24-hour active addresses. So if I wanted to just look at the last month, this actually shows me each hour of address activity, and it'll update about on the hour every hour.
Yeah, I think you can actually go to as low as 5-minute latency with this metric.
5 minutes, okay.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, some of our metrics are intraday. Some of them are daily. We have a few daily metrics now. Most of our metrics now are intraday, like these daily active addresses. Token circulation currently is daily, but we're looking into making it an intraday frequency as well. But I would say about 60 to 70% of our metrics, if you're using our API, you can get them at a 5-minute granularity, which is very, very good. Like, I don't think these are metrics, like if you're trying to do HFD or high frequency trading, I'm not sure that our metrics can help you out. But if you're looking for models that you can create to sort of rebalance your portfolio on a daily basis or sort of bi-weekly basis or something like that, sort of swing trading, I think it's quite effective. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Understood. And then a follow-up question here is, okay, someone from the Philippines. Just give me a second. Okay, because there's a lot of chats here. I lost the chat. You guys can go ahead while I'm looking for it. Sorry.
No worries. Yeah, we've really just scraped the tip of the iceberg thus far with a few network activity metrics, but we have many more that would qualify more on the social metric side, such as social volume and social dominance. Okay. We really love these metrics because what they show is the amount of mentions over time for each asset and how much actual discussion is being made toward that asset because of the fact that cryptocurrency is such a sentiment-driven sector. This is a big deal and can really drive prices in the direction that traders want it to be in, or sometimes the opposite direction. And typically, the higher the spikes go, if you look at like these really big social volume or social dominance spikes, that's indicative of a better chance of the price moving in the opposite direction. Because basically these big spikes here, like we saw here, it's a little tough to tell because of this green. Let me make the blue just a little darker. So these blue and pink spikes, when they go up high, it's indicative of people really starting to either capitulate or vice versa, starting to FOMO right before a big correction occurs.
Okay. Brian, sorry to interrupt you. So with this social dominance, social volume, where is this API with? Are you connected with Twitter? With what mentions are we looking at here?
So we connect to 5 different public platforms. Obviously, if it's a private chat, we are limited in how much we can pull from it. But as long as it is publicly pullable information, we can loop it into our API. We use Twitter, Discord, Reddit, Telegram, and then some various pro traders chats that are publicly available to us to put them all in one big pot and give us an idea of how many mentions are coming in using either Bitcoin or like the hashtag BTC. And that makes up these metrics that we're looking at right now.
Okay. Any reason why you guys are not on Meta or Facebook? Or did you mention Facebook?
No, we don't have Facebook.
Okay.
I don't know the specific...
I can answer that.
Yeah, please.
So this was before Brian's time. We sort of took an executive decision to not scrape Facebook for several reasons at the time, and still I think Facebook is, relative to Twitter and Telegram, sort of has a minor share in the total amount of mentions relative to cryptocurrencies. And second of all, Facebook, a couple of years back when we started scraping this data, had some relatively anti-crypto policies that we decided we were not going to help them sort of monetize their API, at least through us. So generally speaking, we have sort of strayed away from Facebook for the time being. And actually, what's really interesting is that we are not getting a lot of requests from people to add Facebook data. Like, we are getting a bunch of requests for people asking us to add YouTube data, sometimes data from, I don't know, Cointelegraph, CoinDesk, general sort of crypto-related publications. But Facebook doesn't seem that high on people's list. I think they're, for the most part, satisfied with knowing that, all right, we're covering top 3 pretty religiously, which is Twitter, Telegram, and Reddit. And we're adding new channels all the time. So this is a live list. Every day we're like, in the last couple of months, we had to add a bunch of NFT channels, because otherwise you just get an incomplete sense of the market if you're not constantly updating your roster of social channels to track. So as far as I'm aware, this is by far the largest sort of compilation of social data on the market, specifically targeting crypto-related social channels. So we don't care about what the mainstream community is talking about when it comes to crypto. We only care about channels that are solely dedicated to crypto talk. We really want to figure out what the crypto community is talking about. And then based on that, we've built a couple of indicators that so far have proven, have shown us some pretty good results and effectiveness in our back test. So we're excited about that.
Sure. And you're okay not to answer. It's up to you. But is the social dominance, is it filtering positive, negative, or is there a way to kind of do some permutations based on what we want?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have that too. We have something known as weighted sentiment.
Okay.
And what this is doing is giving us a full view of how often the asset, in this case Bitcoin, is being mentioned, and then multiplying that by the positive versus a negative ratio of commentary using a proprietary algorithm that we have programmed into it. And the higher things go, that is typically a sign of euphoria. The lower things go, that's typically a sign of fear.
Okay, fear. Understood. Okay, that this is awesome. Wow. Wow. And let me just say this to my community, guys. This is fantastic. Just because, and again, I came from corporate before I'm teaching crypto, and the way I kind of look at sentiment, it really speaks volumes of what you need to do. What's the market saying, right? And I'm sure, and I'm not sure if it's. I think it's Santiment that I saw. When the meme coins were rising, you guys have kind of released a graph about, everyone's talking about Shiba, right? And here's the kind of the trend, everyone's talking about it. So net, it's not just like it's rising for no reason, but everyone else from those social media channels are obviously talking about it, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We can take a look at Shiba, in fact. So all I have to do to switch assets is go up here to the top arrow, type in, the first few letters, and it'll pop right up just like it would on a Google search. And you can go down to weighted sentiment, and you can see quite clearly when the euphoria was hitting, right? We had that all-time high. I don't know what the exact price is because we're zoomed out a bit, but I know it was at least at about 0.0008 or so. And then we started to see these local top indicators in the form of these weighted sentiment spikes, where we were getting 5 times or even 6.5 times the normal standard deviation of what's considered to be average sentiment. So us being 5 to 6.5 times above that was indicative of people just thinking, Shiba was going to go up forever. People were FOMOing in like crazy at these levels, which is why these indicators are indicating that there was so much positive commentary happening here.
Right. Brian, is there a way for me to kind of filter this? And again, sorry to keep interrupting you guys. Is there a way for me to filter just based on, for not including the assets, but just all weighted sentiments regardless of the coin? So kind of at least I see comparative with all of the coins. So what's the best weighted sentiment positive of all the coins that you guys have in the pivot?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So we actually, I've personally been working on a model. Obviously, this past model that I just showed you on NVT, this was created using Google Sheets.
Okay.
And what you can do here is basically pull the API in and write formulas such as equals SAN and then whatever metric we have available on Sandbase. And so what I've been working on is a model that actually shows the top 100 assets.
Yeah, right.
And shows which assets at any given time are seeing the most euphoria or most FUD, and it quickly gives everyone a glimpse of exactly which ones you should have an eye on that might be getting a little bit overheated and people are showing too much overexcitement. And I wish I had it prepared for this,
that's fine,
but probably in the next month we'll have it and we'll have a big article explaining how it works.
Right.
And I think you guys
are you saying that this Google Sheet is connected with Santiment?
Yeah, exactly. So we have something known as sand sheets where you can actually go into add-ons. You can go to get add-ons here. Type in Santiment, it'll pop right up, or you can type in sand sheets, either or. And as long as you have a membership with us, you'll have a dedicated API key that's personally there for you to plug in anytime you want. And then you can just add it in here, and it will automatically make it so that when you type equals SAN, all of these different metrics will pop up and you have them at your disposal. So I guarantee within your MirandaMiner community, there's a lot of traders out there who have skill sets to make their own models or at least understand the dozens or so we've made. And it's the sky's the limit. You can make anything you want, you know, even if it's just simple price percentages, seeing which ones have spiked the most in X amount of time or dropped the most, or something more advanced like weighted sentiment, what have you, circulation, daily active addresses. And it's a lot of fun. And during some of my off time, I really enjoy making these models and making new discoveries.
You probably take breakfast while crunching numbers, huh?
It's what we're about, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Just one question here on the in the chart earlier. Is there a way for us to filter it based on active addresses, depending on, let's say, people with 1 BTC, people lower than 1 BTC? Is that something we could see based on your filters?
Absolutely. So active addresses within different tiers might be a little granular, but we do have the overall amount of coins held by any specific group. So I'll go back to Bitcoin here and show you what I'm talking about. In this case, what I'm highlighting is the tier of 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin addresses and showing over time what percentage of supply they're holding, which is essentially a way of seeing just how confident these whale tiers are when it comes to their holdings in Bitcoin. Alternatively, you can look at the 1,000 to 10,000 tier, a step up from that. And we found that these two tiers for Bitcoin are really the top tier of traders, the ones who are non-exchange entities that are exchanging tokens on a regular basis based on where they want or expect the price to go next. And when you combine them, which I've done here with the pink line, I'm now looking at 100 to 10,000, and just how much they've held over time. You can see, back in May, they were holding about 48.3%. They got all the way up to about 49.5% or so, which is significant when you talk about an extra 1.2% of supply going into these whales address wallets. And now they've kind of been sliding, which is a bit of a concern. They're not back to where they were in May by any means, but you have seen that just in the last, give or take 3 weeks or so, they have shed about 1.2% of their holdings, or about 0.6% of the supply. So those are the kind of insights we make in terms of how different tiers are behaving with their holdings at any given time.
Okay. Understood. And it's kind of interesting to always follow what the whale does, right?
Oh yeah, trust me, we believe that whale activity, no matter what asset you're looking at, is one of the top three.
It's
Some
probably an indicator. It's
yeah,
probably an
it's one
indicator
of the
itself.
best for sure.
You know what the
So,
Elon Musk and the Michael Saylor of the worlds do.
right, right,
Right?
and with you mentioning that, another thing that we like to look at would be the overall amount of mentions.
Okay.
So this is sort of similar to your last question. This automatically filters for the top 10 most
Oh,
rising trends in crypto using these specific platforms that we follow at
sure.
any given time. And you can see, coincidentally, number 2 right now is Elon, meaning there's
What
a
is he
big
saying
spike.
again?
Yeah, there's a big spike right now in just Elon talk, whether it's about Elon or just
Floki.
him in general.
Yeah. Okay. Does this come with the subscription, or this also goes to the free version?
Yeah, so both free and paid
Okay.
members have access to this. The only thing, if you're free, is there will be a bit of a time delay. So
Okay.
you won't be able to see what's happening in real time,
Mhm.
but you can still do historical research and see, like, prior to August 16th, there was barely any mention of Elon. And then all of a sudden, we started to see this big explosion with really the biggest instance happening just about 6 days ago here on November 9th, right before Bitcoin corrected, which is interesting to see.
Sure. So I guess we're speaking earlier about some of those transposition to Google Sheets integration. So someone asked this question. I'm not even sure what does this mean. So I need your expertise. Do you have plans to support Java queries or sticking to Python as published?
I don't know personally. Dino, do you?
It is a question for our developers. I think the
It
best
could be
thing that
the
you can do is
developers.
just send the exact same question to team@santiment.net. I don't think that, I mean, I understand the question. I'm not sure what the answer is. I think
Okay.
the answer is that no, I don't think we're currently planning to support it, but maybe there's something in the devs pipeline that I'm not aware of.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, the API is a product unto itself. So just write us at team@santiment.net, and somebody from the dev team will be able to give you more sort of explanation about the roadmap for the API.
Sure.
Yeah.
Another question here. How about NFTs? Do you also monitor the? I think they've already answered that, Tiki. So I think you are also monitoring NFTs, correct, Brian?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. We have watch lists for NFTs, like you can see here, where we have all NFT in terms of market cap, how much their aggregate percentage has gone up in the last 7 days. You can look more granular, and you can even see through like a screener here what the price changes were over the last 24 hours or the last 7 days or even the last 30 days.
Yeah.
And you can track which ones are really showing upticks and downticks, not just on their price, but through fundamentals. Go ahead, Dave.
Yes. So one thing to keep in mind is currently, I mean, the entire Sentiment platform is token specific, right? So it's really a token intelligence platform. And mostly at the moment, we provide on-chain data for several blockchains. This is Bitcoin, Ethereum. So we cover all ERC20 coins from an on-chain data perspective. We cover XRP, Litecoin, and a few other blockchains, and we're adding new ones. So as far as NFTs are concerned, when it comes to analyzing NFTs, we currently provide insights into NFT related tokens, right? So something like AXS or Mana or Flow.
Right.
These are all ERC20s. We are planning, or it's in the pipeline. I don't want to reveal too much, but we are looking into creating a really like an NFT explorer. An NFT wallet explorer where you type in an address and you can see a bunch of very interesting analytics about specific NFTs, not tokens that are using the ERC20 standard, but instead actual, like, I don't know, CryptoPunks, BAYC, whatever it is, sort of when it's been acquired, how much in the money, floor prices and whatnot. So this is something in the pipeline, but it's not currently available just yet.
No, that I think it's a very, very good idea, because right now there's a lot of folks who are obviously getting knock off NFTs, fraud, and people who are obviously trying to copy another JPEG, etc. Right? So I think it's kind of important to look into that aspect. By the way, so I think I just have a few questions here, because I know you guys are both busy gentlemen. especially on a Monday. So, someone said, awesome data analytics in our hands. We are in control. You are way ahead on anybody. So, very good comment. Uh, are you connected with Santiment Network token?
Yes, this is our token. So SAN is the ticker. It used to be, so SAN used to be a discount coin. Essentially, when you bought a subscription to the platform, you could redeem a discount by holding a certain amount of SAN. This used to be the case, but we are providing further or creating new use cases for the coin. So this is something that we can talk about for another half an hour, but we are sort of creating a couple of dApps that are connected to the main product, but that are completely decentralized. So one of the things that our side projects is called SANR. So if you go to sanar.santiment.net, what we've built there is a sort of a decentralized marketplace for price predictions. So essentially, let me just give you an elevator pitch of this this platform, which is completely decentralized. It's on L2 at the moment. It's a very, very interesting side product of ours. What you can do on this platform is, if you have an idea of where you think the market is going to be headed next, let's say you think that, based on our metrics or your own metrics and ideas, you think that Bitcoin might be going up from here, you can create a signal on SANR saying, okay, I think Bitcoin is going to be rising, and you can create specific criteria like a target price, stop loss if you go down too much and whatnot. So you open a forecast, and as long as that forecast is staked, and you need to only stake 50 SAN tokens in order to create a stake forecast, when that forecast is staked, it creates, or your signal is minted as an NFT on the Ethereum blockchain. So every prediction of yours becomes forever recorded on the blockchain and becomes part of your proof of reputation of your market awareness and market experience. So the cool thing about that is, number one, you can we got these 2-week competitions where you can compete against other people on the leaderboard to test your market experience and market acumen without too much risk. And then the second, which I think is probably the killer sort of value proposition for this metric, is that once you've proven that you have, some type of market awareness, and everybody can, by the way, see your previous performance and say, okay, look, this guy has 70 created signals and his performance is, I don't know, let's say 85% over the last 70 signals. So that's pretty good. You're up, or here, this guy's up 191% over the last 98 signals that he created. So he obviously can read the market relatively well. So what you can do on SANR is, you as a person that has established this reputation, which is, by the way, clearly immutable and can be checked on the blockchain. It's publicly available. Each signal that you created is publicly available to check on the blockchain. What you can do is you can then mint subscription NFTs to your future signals. So you sort of own the means of production from the creation of the signal to the issuance of subscriptions for your signal. You can set the prices whatever you want, and the entire process is fully decentralized. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to kind of decentralize market intelligence by using the Ethereum blockchain and providing more utility to the SAN token, because the entire platform is powered by SAN. It's something that we've been working on in the sort of background for the last couple of months, and I think is very exciting. And for people that are not afraid of sort of, showing their predictions and showing how accurate they are over time, building their reputation, I think it's a very interesting way to monetize their crypto market knowledge. So check it out if you have an interest in what I've been talking about for the past 5 minutes. It's sanar.santiment.net. And we've got a growing community on that platform as well. So you might, at the very least, want to try out a couple of competitions and see how far you can get.
Okay, understood. Thank you. That's interesting. And probably go there versus putting my predictions in Twitter.
Right. I mean, you can do both, right? But here it's forever embedded in the blockchain as part of your market reputation.
Yeah. All right, you guys. It's top of the hour already. I know you guys are busy. So, any few words? It's really a breath of fresh air for me. I'm just amazed, right, of what we have seen so far. I'm sure we obviously just scratched the surface here. It will probably take us a lot of days and hours to kind of understand everything. But any last few words, Dino and Brian, for the community?
All I can say is that we really welcome any insight in how we can improve at any time. Even just the suggestions that we've heard throughout this call are things that we're going to go back and discuss and see if we can, expedite if it's something we've already been working on ourselves, and we hear that there's 15 people who are part of our community who really want it. Those are the kind of things that we take into account and really try to make it happen, because we want to be the kind of website that is the people's data platform, where they can come on and see any kind of data they want in the most curated way that we can make it for them. So we encourage you guys to really just check out the platform, whether you want to browse it for a while and then become a member, never become a member, or immediately join as a Sandbase Pro member. It's entirely up to you, but we are, we've got a Discord server that we can chat with you all in at any time and discuss the many great ideas that you guys have and help explain further on the hundreds and hundreds of different indications that we have to make your trading lives a lot easier.
Yeah, I guess to add, there's a lot of metrics on the website, so some of you might find it overwhelming a little bit. I think it's very easy to just start with a few and get a good sense of what they mean and how to use them. But what we try to do is we really try to focus on education. So every day somebody from the Santiment team will write an insight or a report about something happening in the market to sort of give you an idea of how we use our own metrics. And then every Friday at 4 p.m. Central Eastern Time, so that is 2 hours earlier than right now, we run our own Friday or weekly market stream on the Sentiments YouTube channel. So go to YouTube, type in Sentiment, and subscribe to that channel so you get a notification when we're live. We go over sort of an hour and a half marathon of looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum's current metrics, and then we take audience questions about the different coins that they would like us to analyze in real time. So if you are really sort of just starting out, I think it's a very good resource for you to sort of just catch us live and ask us any questions that you have about any coins, and we can sort of talk it over. So every Friday at 4 p.m. Central Eastern Time, we're live. So yeah, looking forward to seeing some of you guys over there.
Did you say it's also in your YouTube, Dino, right? It's in your YouTube.
Yeah, so it's all on our YouTube channel. So when you type in Sentiment on YouTube, you should be able to find our channel. We do post a few videos in the meantime, like throughout the week, but the one that we're live on is every Friday at 4 p.m. Central Eastern Time. So Brian and I go live. Sometimes we have some special guests, but every time we look into the most recent analytics for Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then it's just like 30 to 45 minutes of audience questions and just analyzing a bunch of coins that the chat wants us to analyze.
Sure. All right, guys. So let's all subscribe to the Santiment YouTube channel. All right, folks, I appreciate the time, Brian and Dino. I'm sure it's a pleasure having you in our channel and looking forward to have you guys again in the future anytime. Any announcements, I'll be very glad to kind of have you guys in the channel, but consider us as your next home. Anytime you'd like to have anything. So thank you so much. In Filipino, you say maraming salamat. In your language, Dino, how do you say thank you?
You just say kamala.
Kamala. Okay, kamala. Okay. In Filipino, you say maraming salamat. Of course, Brian.
And thanks for having us. It was a pleasure to talk to your community a bit. And yeah, would love to come back once again in maybe a couple of weeks or something. If there's anything interesting to talk about in the market, so yeah. And if people want us back, just let us know and we'll be there.
Yeah, marami salamat. If I didn't butcher that 100%, really appreciate it, guys.
No, you did a good job there, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. See you soon. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. You heard that. Ako, medyo naubos yung English natin doon, ha? Type number 1 if you've learned something new. Sige nga, type number 1 if you've heard something new. If you've learned something new, medyo nasukat ang ating English doon, ha? No, but Brian and Dino are good people. No, I mean, I think they really mean well. At they're here to kind of obviously not just promote their brand, no, but obviously it's obviously giving us a different lens on things, diba? So, yeah, kailangan nyo akong sabihang mag-Tagalog kasi baka mag-pure English na naman tayo dito. No? So yon. So, alam mo yon, it kind of gives you a different flavor. Meron ka naririnig na iba. It's a breath of fresh air, di ba? And please, guys, alam mo napaka galing, no, because Santiment is offering us a 25% discount. If you use the discount code MirandaMiner when you create an account in Santiment, then you can use it. Maybe try it tomorrow. I'll get a heads up from Brian kung active na siya. Pero ang galing, no, they're very generous. They're actually offering us a discount, no, if you use our code to be able to download. Ako, I will try this. No, I will try this obviously because I wanted to use it for my own personal study. No, of course, alam niyo naman si Miranda Miner, I never stop learning. But I think what Brian and Dino have offered to us is it's important we look at active addresses, wallet activity, network activity. Kaya I think yung iba nga sa inyo nakita ko nagko-comment kayo about ano ba yung kumbaga yung word cloud, no? At may mga alam din yung iba sa inyo no, at nakikita ko yung mga questions ninyo in terms of your understanding on social sentiments, no. Akin lang ang topic ko dito is, and by the way, thank you so much for joining me kahit alauna na ng madaling araw. Maraming salamat po, no. Please share this video to your friends. I-like natin kasi tingin ko hindi naman laging nakaka-interview ng ganitong level ng mga tao yung Filipino vlogger, no. So, natutuwa tayo na nagkaroon tayo ng opportunity na magawa itong mga bagay na to. Sabi ni Sue, pwede na daw mag-Tagalog. Pwede na mag-Tagalog, yes! Woo! Nako, napapas lang ako dito no. Lumalabas yung ating pagsasalita no. So, ayan, sabi ni Jace, Coach, Tagalog. Sino Tagalog na ako? Ayan, sabi ni Quarter Pot, Coach, paki-simplify naman po kung anong gamit ng Santiment, no. So basically, guys, Santiment, so if I go to there, kasi I created an account pero I'm not yet a pro user. Ito yung aking account, no. So what I really like about what they have right now is the social trends. For example, ito, look at this one, no. I mean, ako kasi parang tayo mga Pinoy, no. Pag kasi pinag-uusapan, 'di ba, marami mga bagong word ngayon, mga marites, mga mosang. So kung ano yung pinag-uusapan, pwede mo siyang ma-filter dito. 'Di ba? You can filter it here at pwede mo siyang gamitin as a reference na, oy, hindi ka na magtatanong, ano tingin mo MirandaMiner anong tingin mo kasi kay Shiba Inu kaya kay Katecoin, no? If you see it here, it means that the market, not just Facebook, if you've heard about it, they're not even putting Meta or Facebook in their APIs. APIs means ito yung kinokonektahan ng kanilang system to get data feeds, no? API. So interface yan, no? Interface yan. So it can be used to kind of understand ano ba yung mga potential ng mga trending words, 'di ba? Ano yung pwedeng pag-usapan? 'Di ba? Kasi 'di ba sa Twitter trending topics, ito naman pwedeng pag-usapan trending words na pwede mong gawin, pwede mong kunin para maging potential decision making factor mo on putting your money on that coin. If you remember, one of the portfolio management system na tinuturo ko sa university is volume and the people using it, no. So this one falls to that. Kung pinag-uusapan siya, 'di ba, kung hindi ukol, hindi bubukol. Kung walang usok, kung may usok, meron nangyayari sa ilalim, 'di ba? So I think it's important that alam natin to. For example, Elon Musk o si Bernie Sanders, si Elon Musk, taxes. Bakit sikat ngayon sa states 'yan? Paano ayaw na nila kay ano? Ang daming issue ni Biden, 'di ba? Ang gulo-gulo, yung social infrastructure bill, 'di ba? Although okay naman yung bills na 'yon, the problem is ang gulo-gulo, yung kanyang recent survey ang baba, 'di ba? And of course, Elon lagi naman nasa usapan 'yan. Of course, millions ba naman ng follower in Twitter. Lalabas at lalabas talaga siya, no? So may konting bias sa kanya. But again, for me, I think it's important that we kinda try to kung meron ka namang budget, try mo mag-subscribe ka, mag-upgrade ka, tapos type the word MirandaMiner para may 25% discount ka. Para at least if you really wanted to be serious on what you do, then, put something here, no? Tapos ang maganda doon kasi, sa tinuturo kasi nila, guys, meron silang tinatawag na, meron silang correlation or deviation using price action versus wallet activity. Remember, ang ginagamit nating price prediction, for example, in this particular case, for example, Ang ginagamit nating prediction for deviation is price action. For example, it's creating a higher high, but your MACD or oscillator is creating a lower high. So what does that mean is it can potentially create a left hand or a transition or trend. So what they're saying is, potentially, pwede mo palang gamitin yung price action, ikumpara mo yan doon sa wallet activity. If the wallet activity goes lower, meaning tumataas yung presyo na walang fundamentals. Tumataas yung presyo ng walang, so it's a retailer action. Tumataas yung presyo ng coin, pero yung wallet activity stagnant. Ibig sabihin nun, konting tao lang or retailers ang naglalaro. Yung mga whales hindi sumasali, nakatago yung pera nila. Pwedeng ganun ang isipin natin because the wallet addresses is going down. Pwede mo pang lagyan ng another permutation yan. What you can probably do is lagyan natin ng, okay, yung wallet address will only be the one below, below 1 BTC. Oh, pwede mo i-compare yun. The number of people handling below 1 BTC compared to price action, magkasiliwa ba siya? Is it creating a divergence? Naghihiwalay ba yung formation? What does that mean is, potentially, habang tumataas yung presyo, yung mga tao na may hawak na 1 BTC pababa or let's say we filtered it based on 1 BTC pataas. Tapos it's going down. Pero yung presyo tumataas. Anong nangyayari? Yung mga taong may hawak ng 1 BTC pataas, tinatago sa cold wallet or cold storage yung kanilang mga BTC. Hindi nila tinitrade, guys. Ayun, that's what it meant. No? So naging interesado tayo dyan kasi of course we have been dealing about price action, metrics, indicators, Fibonacci's, but in the spirit of continuous education, para maituro ko din sa inyo yan ng mas malalim, we need to kind of interview these types of people. Parang breath of fresh air ika nga. No? Bakit? Kasi syempre, you need to talk to people that you don't really talk every day. Kamaga parang pag tayo usap ng usap on the same topic all over and over again, it will become an echo chamber. Ibig sabihin, pare-pares na kayo na pinag-usap, wala na natututunan. Diba? So ang trabaho ko bilang coach, bilang mentor, bilang coach ninyo is I'd like to further understand what's out there further. And in this case, hindi na tayo tumingin sa iba because itong Santiment is a very good company na finiture lang naman sa iba't ibang organizations like Bloomberg, Forbes, no? They were featured in our channel. O dahil dyan, type number 1, narinig mo yun, di ba? So, we're now part of this, no? We're now able to obviously reference them, no? So, and alam mo yun, at the end of the day, I think what's important is as a channel, as a Filipino growing community, dapat tayo kinakausap natin itong mga taon to. And asahan nyo ako, makikipag-reach out pa tayo sa ibang klaseng sa ibang mga audience, no? Or ibang mga experts, we will ask them to go here para turuan naman tayo ng other items, no? So we could learn more, learn other things, no? Learn other things, and obviously we can definitely learn more as a Filipino community. And of course, not just a Filipino community, but the community that is obviously going to benefit, no? Natutuwa nga sila, sabi nila, alam mo, I've heard good things about your community. Sabi niya, oh, thank you. Di ba? Masaya naman tayo sinabi nila yon. Anyways, kung ikaw ay isang Filipino trader, sana may natutunan ka today. No? Na hindi lahat ng trading nakukuha natin yan sa MACD lang or sa RSI. Dapat meron din tayong alam in terms of social sentiment. Ano ba yung pinag-uusapan ng maraming tao? Ano ba yung pinag-uusapan ng buong mundo? And ang kagandahan ng kanilang company, tulad, again, I'll be very honest with you. No? When I was in the corporate, when I used to be a VP of operations, may mga gamit kaming mga tools. No? And I'll be very honest with you. We're using Variant, speech analytics back then. We're using Hootsuite. No? But itong mga to, these are proprietary. And of course, hindi mo naman kayang gamitin to unless you're connected to all of the social media. Kailangan mo i-API yan sa mga social media channels para higupin niya yung mga noise words. So, let's say you have a subscription, let's say in Variant. Pwede mong i-API yan sa mga, kaya narinig nyo kanina, sabi ko, where are you guys connected? Are you connected on other social media channels? Because I've done that before. So, we're connected, for example, in Facebook or in what other social media. Ipo-program mo lang kung ano ba yung hinahanap mong details. Kakainin niya, nakasupply na yan, kakainin niya, and then it will create a word cloud, it will create a social sentiment or a text analytics. Gagawin niya yung mga yan. Depende sa gusto mo. Diba? They will create that. No? And at the end of the day, tayo bilang trader, it's important na alam natin na hindi lang tayo nagcha-chart, hindi lang tayo, para hindi tayo nahuhuli. No? Bakit? For example, meron na palang umaariba na coin. For example, Kate coin. For example lang, o kaya Sand, o kaya Mana, o kaya DeFi. Before pa malaman ng iba, alam mo na, meron ka nang ipoposisyon. 'Di ba? Meron ka ng alert. Uy, before pa sumabog yan, alam mo na meron ng meron ng information signal sa'yo. And that's gonna be very, very helpful kasi bilang isang trader, at least yung opinion mo, it's not just an opinion. It's an opinion of the community. It is the sentiment of the crowd. The power of the crowd. By the way, thank you to Judge Backcams. Are you Filipino, Judge? Or are you a foreigner? So again, I think guys, let's try, no? Yan, si Sweet, ang daming tanong ni Sweet. Thank you, Sweet. Or thank you, Kimoy. Thank you, George. Salamat sa mga questions. Follow them, guys. Follow them in Twitter. Follow them in YouTube. I think they're cool gentlemen. Di nyo lang ako nakita, pero mas pogi pa ako dun sa dalawang yun. No? Mas magandang lalaki tayo dun sa dalawang yun. Anyways. Alright. So, guys, another update ko pala, I will delay a bit yung ating raffle on Axie kasi konti lang tayo ito din, inabot ng 1,000 Baka mag-raffle ako na mag-raffle, walang manalo kasi wala rin dito yung mga mananalo, no? So let's reschedule this at I'll make sure na marami tayong nanonood para marami naman ang may opportunity manalo. Sayang naman kasi kung wala dito, ulit na naman ako ng raffle, di ba? Oy, thank you. Thank you, Filipino pala si Judge, no? Thank you. Batch 15. Thank you. Sabi ni Sweet, ang cutie nun dino. Selos ako dyan, ha? Sabi ni Eunice, tingin nga, coach. Uy, guys, ano bang tingin nyo sa akin? The way I talk, the way I converse, mukha naman siguro ko may alam, di ba? Siguro isipin nyo, kamukha ko alam nyo na kayo mag-isip nun. Siguro naman hindi ako magiging kung hindi ako pinagkakatiwalaan, di ba? Di ba? Kung di ba, the way you talk, kailangan siguro pleasing ka din bilang leader. So siguro naman pleasing personality si coach, di ba? anyways. Well guys, maraming salamat ah. Oo nga, Clarice, napansin ko sinasabi, no? Ay nako. Hirap talaga, sabi ni may sinasabi si Sweet. Oo. Yan, type 1 kung mas pogi ako. Thank you, EliteUniversity. Excited sa face reveal, Shelly, maraming salamat. Ryan, nandito po ako, coach. Salamat, Ryan. Face off daw, sabi ni Erin. Ako, hindi papatalo ang Pinoy, guys. Ha? Nakita nyo naman ang mga tanong natin. Siguro, lume-level up naman tayo kahit papano, di ba? Hindi dahil sa Pilipino ka, lesser ka. No? You need to level up with those. Sabi ko nga sa inyo, I've been managing other people, no, na ibang lahi, di ba? So sanay na tayo dyan, guys. Kahit saan mo tayo iharap, sanay tayo dyan. Pero ginagawa ko naman talaga yun, syempre, para tulungan kayo. No? Ako na yung haharap, gagawin nating simplified version para sa inyo. Para at least naunawaan ninyo in our language. Tatagalugin natin. I will try to simplify it for you. Di ba? I will try to simplify it for you. And, and those kind of stuff. Alright, sige. Nakita ko po ang picture nyo sa Facebook page, Coach. Okay. Thank you, Gerald. Shiba, pumuputok daw. Thank you. We'll chart that soon. No? Guys, I will not, kaboses ko si Panlasang Pinoy. Another discovery. Thank you, Coach. Sabi ni Sabino Patrick. Yan. Uy, guys, alam nyo, okay, again, I will not chart kasi alam ko pagod na tayo lahat, no? Siguro BTC na lang chart natin. I'll chart BTC. Ayan, kakasabi ko lang kanina magbabounce, no? So, meron akong tweet kasi kanina, sabi ko magbabounce dun sa triangle na yan. Tingnan mo yan, no? Di ba nagbabounce siya? Yan. So, tingin ko kung sumali ako dun sa mga prediction, baka ang dami kong na nakuha ang predictions, di ba? So, meron akong tweet kanina, sabi ko magba-bounce yan, no? So antayin mo na lang. So nag-bounce nga. So I think BTC is on its way, no? Kasi nagko-consolidate ito. You know, if you think about it, I don't see any left hand or right hand at this point. Going down. Actually, I don't know. I don't see any right hand or left on a 15 minutes time frame. If I use a 1 hour, almost the same. Bakit ko ginawa itong triangle, itong line na to? Because meron sa ilalim na support dito, no? So, maliit na lang yung triangle niya. So, antayin nyo na to. Bakit nauntog sa 66,300, 66,523? Doon nauntog, no? Bakit po nauntog yan dyan? Bukod po sa meron kasi dito, sabi ko sa inyo kahapon, so kuha tayo ng 618 na yan. So, tingnan natin, di ba? Alright. So, in this particular case, meron ka ditong 618, nakuha natin yon, you know? Tapos, nakuha natin yung 618, so potentially pwede mag-bounce dito. Tapos, meron ka ring resistance dito, chinart natin yan kahapon, kaya nauntog siya. But for the most part, ako, ang tinitingnan ko dito guys is, if you think about the chart, gawa natin ng isang chart dito, yan. One of the things na tinitingnan natin is, obviously, meron dyan, kaya nauntog yan dyan is because meron kang nakikitang 618. No? Pero before ako pumunta dyan, ang point ko lang ng BTC ngayon is, tingin ko puputok si BTC, pero antayin nyo lang kasi nagko-consolidate. No? It's consolidate and I'm waiting for a bounce. Tulad ng sinabi ko sa Twitter kanina, ito ay magba-bounce. Yan. So let's look at the 15 minutes chart. And it's actually bouncing. No? So if you go to my Twitter, basta punta lang kayo sa Twitter ko lagi guys, i-follow nyo ako doon. Kasi doon ko naman tinitweet yung mga potential direction ng coins. Bakit si Bitcoin lang? Kasi nga, malaki ang influensya ng Bitcoin sa other coins. No? So, kaya anyways, mag-comment kayo dun kay, sa mga page nila na thank you for having MirandaMiner on your page. Santiment, maraming salamat. Sabi mo yan. For example, ayan, sabi natin, ito. Diba, sabi natin kanina, it can potentially bounce. Diba? Okay. So, in-adjust ko na tong line na to kasi meron ng common support. Pero na-notice mo, nagkaroon talaga siya ng bounce on that price. Diba? So, yan. So, totoo nga, nag-bounce nga talaga siya. You know, in-adjust ko na tong orange line kasi nga merong support sa ilalim. So, again, ganun lang guys. Ganun lang ang ating charting. No? At the end of the day, talagang pwede naman natin talagang gamitin yan bilang our parameter. Okay? O, sige na. Alauna na ng gabi, no? Bukas na tayo mag-chart ulit. And again, thank you Santiment for a very wonderful presentation. Kami po it's a breath of fresh air for all of us. And with that said, I'm going to leave you with another video. Okay, sa mga hindi pa kumikita dyan, lagi ko pong ipapaalala sa inyo tong video na to. Ito po ang ating magiging panghuling video every day. Pero malapit na yung malapit na yung another 2-minute video guys. Tapos na po, nakita ko na yung kanina. Gumawa ko ulit ng 2-minute video on one of our Real Talk Friday, how not to overtrade. Naku, pag narinig mo yun, ay naku, walang tigil si MirandaMiner doon. Bla 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 bla. 3 minuto. Naku, parang tatay mo. Parang tatay mo na bla 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 bla. No? Talagang paparamdam talaga sa iyo not to overtrade. Naku, pakinggan mo yan. Pakinggan mo yan, ha? And again, I love all of you. Alam mo, sabi ko nga sa Twitter, teka lang, basahin ko lang yung sinabi ko sa Twitter kanina, ha? Kasi nagandahan ako dun sa post na yun, eh. Ulit-ulitin ko lang lagi. Uulit-ulitin ko para sa inyo. Ayan. Gusto kong sabihin sa iyo, ha? Uulitin ko to. Mahal kita, alam mo yan. Gusto kong sabihin na gusto kong disiplinahin ka, pagalitan ka, sermonan ka, kulitin ka, at hindi po ako mapapagod gabi-gabi magpaalala na mahal kita dahil alam kong yayaman ka, uunlad ka, matututo ka, at makakasabay ka. Tiyaga lang, tiyaga lang. Papasaan ba, you will become a profitable trader. With that said, guys, I love you 3,000. I wish you a good night. Thank you for joining me today. And God bless all of you. I love you 3,000. Tatlong letra na kung isipin natin, it's a very powerful word. Malalim yung kahulugan. Kapag ginamit natin, it would open a lot of opportunities, a lot of aha moments. Some of the lessons in real life, some of this could be very, very useful sa atin.
up until the present or a specified or implied time. By now or by then. In Tagalog, hindi pa. Pag in-insert mo sa isang salita, nagkakaroon ng ibang meaning yung buong word. It gives a whole different meaning doon sa statement. Dalawang letra yan, pero napaka-makapangyarihan yan. It can convey a message. And I will prove to you that if you add this two-letter word in everything that you do, your world will change. It works wonders in our lives, sa ating buhay, sa ating anak. It destroys your trading dream. Pag sinabi mo na, hindi ako magaling, versus hindi pa ako magaling. Even on trading, hindi ako magaling mag-charts. Hindi pa ako magaling mag-Fibonacci. You are successful. You will be successful, though this is not your time yet. Whenever we add this word, we tell ourselves na I can do it. Kaya kong gawin yan. Whenever we add the word yet, hindi pa ako tapos. Let's not close the doors. I will become even better than myself today. The power of yet. I can't do that ends a story. I can't do that yet means anything is possible. Perseverance is the power of yet. Ikaw ay tumataka sa ganyang situation ngayon bilang trader, bilang tao, bilang tatay, bilang nanay. It's up to you now. How would you recover from that and use it as a challenge and use the word yet to become very successful? Because in trading, it's the same thing in life. You have yet to see your success. You have yet to see your millions. Andiyan dyan na. Ibigay ka pa ba? You have yet to see. Isang hampas na lang ng palakol, makita mo na yung gold mine. Are you going to give up today? Or are you going to use the word not? We tend to be very hard to ourselves. Isa lang buhay natin. Take it easy. Andiyan dyan yan. Huwag kang mag-give up. Don't use the word, I cannot do this. The importance of waiting and preparing for our lives. Kasi minsan, tayo, we wanted to grow immediately. Wala na tayong metamorphosis, wala na tayong pupa stage. We wanted to spread our wings. And sometimes, it's not yet your time. But when you wait for it, and you don't give up, those beautiful wings of yours will come out. You're a caterpillar, yet you will soon become a very, very beautiful butterfly.